for having me here. And so this touches a lot of topics this morning and this afternoon. People talk about it. One is the inequality. The other is the stagnations. And these are the two big topics Japanese are talking about the last 20 years. And actually, we try to explain it through the intangible capital accumulations. That's the idea. And people talk about long-run stagnation after the recent crisis in U.S. But actually, when you look at Japan, there is no straight trend line and then deviation from the trend, secular trend. Actually, our growth rate, red one is the constant the per capita GDP of Japan, and the green is Italy, and the blue is Spain. And you see, we used to grow like China. Like our growth rate between 1950 to 70 is about 10% aggregate, and per capita is 8 or 9. And after 70, we slow down, but our growth rate was respectable, like 4%, like per capita, like 3%. But after 91, our growth rate per capita is 1% per capita. And so population stopped growing, but and the per capita growth much lower level. And only comparable country is actually Italy. so Italian growth rate was rather high until 70s, and then start slowing down. And actually, the last 15 years or so, their growth rate is a bit negative, actually. So Japan and Italy are kind of similar in some way, and people think Japan is very well organized and Italy is chaotic, but actually there are a lot of similarities. We have the volcano, and we have gangs, and we have family. And Spain, actually, yes, your growth rate is respectable until recent, but then you have some slowdown, and whether it's come back or not, we are not so sure yet. And so the question is why the growth rate slow down so much, and also the something public policy about it. And one thing we notice is Spain and Italy, the unemployment, especially for younger people, is going up a lot. Japanese case, our unemployment didn't go up, but the type of job the younger people get is getting worse. And for example, like when I was graduated 30 years ago, so like almost everyone who graduated from college get a nice job, nice full-time career type job. But nowadays, 1/3 of them don't get that. And the fraction of people who work in the temporary work, this is the fraction of part-time employment. Part-time definition is working hour is less than 30 hours per week. And Japan used to be lower than OECD average, but now it's higher. And Italy also much lower, but starts getting high. And even Spain starts going up. And or Korea even starts going up. And basically the type of job the younger people are getting is getting worse. And
how do you say worse? Because in the CPS actually they ask part-time.
Yeah.
Now you're working part-time, but you would like to work.
Yeah, the fraction of people who wants to work in the full-time but didn't get. No, this is just a low number. But the Japanese, yes, we have such kind of numbers. And we didn't have exact this in picture, but actually the college graduate, if you ask, they want to get the career type job. But the 1/3 don't get it.
How much of demographic are playing?
No, this is for, but the old timer is typically more permanent than youngsters, actually. So this is, if you control the cohort effect, it's even worse than this. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, could
Yeah.
it be because of the woman? That
Yeah, even controlling women and the men, still you get the same answer too. And
That's not a black line.
black line is OECD average or something like that. So, basically the idea we have is manager can train the young career type workers to become future managers. So, and this managerial skill, we call it the intangible capital. And so intangible capital is something you can train them. So transfer one generation to the next generation through the training on the job. And the question we have is how negative shock to the endowment or like financial conditions or the can generate the persistence inequality. This is like the persistence in persistent stagnation in output as well as rise in inequality. So basically, this is about the propagation through the overtime. So shock generate a persistent effect on output, which is the some this morning people talk about also. And, yeah.
Nobu, I don't
Yeah.
know if I want to describe Japan. You haven't convinced me that Japan is an example of persistent stagnation.
Stagnation.
Pretty much caught up at 80% of the US. They're about 80% once you do the demographic adjustments.
Yeah, but this is divided by per capita.
No. What I want to say
Yes.
is that the rapid rise
Yeah. This
that
part.
I think of,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
wrong. I think
Yeah.
about that as
Yeah.
convergence once
Yeah,
Japan
yeah,
adopts
yeah.
sensible institutions.
This one,
And
but
the convergence has got to stop. You know, the world frontier.
so
isn't
this,
going
yeah, but this one is stopped before we catched up, and since then,
There's a ceiling for the rest of the world. 80% of US. 0.8. 0.8. It's tough to get beyond 0.8.
but the U.S. is growing faster than us.
Not really. Once you do PPP, and the second very important thing is once you adjust for demographics.
Demographic, some people like former governor of Japan, like Shirakawa says that if we divide by people below the 65, we are doing okay. And but the problem is that a lot of Japanese are working above the 65, and also
But
and.
quantitatively, it's just not that.
No, it's huge actually. And when you divide, so for example, if you look at the agricultural sector, and if you divide the worker below 65, our agricultural productivity is world class because many of them is over 65. So,
Japan is like the rest of the world. 2% of the population is now in agriculture.
yeah.
And so quantitatively, we're talking about aggregate.
Yeah, but it's any kind of measure we are not doing that well actually, and we are a lot of depression actually, and especially
It's a
the
very successful society.
now if you go inside, a lot of problem starts picking up, especially for younger people, and people recently talk about like a new generation, younger cohort may be poorer than current cohort for the first time. And that's happening us from late 90s, the mid 90s. So we are kind of front runner of lots of problem US or other European country may face. So that's the questions. And also these things, we want to think about the propagation not only over time, but also across the different group of people. Basically, we are thinking about limited commitment or financial frictions and how the shock propagate across the period, but also want to see how the small difference in initial condition leads to the big difference across the household. And approach we are going to use is overlapping generations model with on-the-job training and limited commitment. And so that's what we want to get. And the framework is basically the skilled manager can train the young worker to become future manager, but the training is costly. Therefore, it's like an investment. You spend the cost today or time today in order to get the return in futures. And yeah.
If you think then your answer to Charlie is
Yeah.
the right one, where a bit different is how well young people are doing. And
Yeah,
so on.
yeah.
And
They are doing
do you have
worse.
data on how young people are doing versus old
Yeah,
people
yeah,
are.
yeah. The one thing we see is
Do you
the
have data on that?
yeah, some actually and then typically the people have a hump-shaped earning profile in old days, and then during our crisis in 90s, this humped in the younger cohort who enter into the labor market in 90s is getting flat, and especially worse is the group in late 90s. The people who have entered into the market in late 90s and early 2000s, their wage is distinctively lower than the before as well as after. And
Maybe you can just look at the ratio of
Yeah.
average income
yeah,
people less than 40, how
Yeah.
it's been evolving through time.
yeah, yeah,
Something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
So earning profile, people are
Will
talking,
show,
yeah, yeah.
income, no, per capita.
Yeah, earning, the earning profile, yes. We are getting more data, but right now it's more theoretical exercise, actually. And so the training is costly, therefore, and also youngsters are different in terms of learning ability relative to production ability, and also the initial endowment. Some youngsters are richer than the others. And basically, the manager can provide the two types of menus. One is a simple work labor package, which basically you work for me, I will pay you the wage, period by period. It's like a period by period contract. The other is menu options. Basically, you work for me, I pay you some today, but I will give you the training to become future managers. And so it's like an earning package, lifetime earning package, as well as the training to provide you. So with full commitment, like if you don't have any commitment problems, actually the training, whether people get trained or not, only depend upon the learning ability relative to the production ability. So there is no inequality controlling the abilities. This doesn't depend upon initial endowment conditions. Yeah.
Just clarification, are the managers heterogeneous in skill
Yeah,
level?
yeah, it will be.
And then the workers can become
Managers,
of also
yeah,
the
yeah,
heterogeneous
yeah.
establishment.
And I will give you more the detail of the training technologies. And that was key for our stories.
You know, the
Yeah.
inequality in permanent income, so you cannot become better than your trainer. That's,
No, you get, but the training or the permanent income will depend upon only the skill, not the initial endowment. That's the meaning. Okay. And but with limited commitment, the future manager cannot pre-commit to stay in the same company, firms, and. So the earning cannot be too different from the marginal product of labor minus the training cost. So the training, the earning is no longer that different from marginal product minus marginal cost. And also the limited commitment means if you know you are making more money, but you cannot borrow against it because of you might default. And so the key is the earning and the marginal contribution to the marginal contribution minus marginal cost cannot be too different. And a lot of discussion about earning uncertainty increase. We don't have too much idiosyncratic risk, but earning, if you have a limit commitment, you can smooth the earning or you can ensure the earning well within the coalitions or within the companies. But if the people may not stay in the same company have to pay the marginal contributions. So as a result, the earning and marginal contribution becomes kind of close, actually. So that might be the one reason, like earning uncertainty expand, because of within the coalition you cannot insure each other's. So that's but the main model we are going to use is without idiosyncratic shocks. So mostly the action is investment. So when you have a limited commitment, typically you don't invest as much as you like, given the interest rate. The interest rate will be endogenous, so aggregate investment will depend upon endogenous interest rate. But for same interest rate level, intangible investment is going to be suppressed due to the limited commitment and financial frictions. And so now what happened is the training with limited commitment, training is going to depend upon not just skill, but also endowment. It's a bit like your occupational choice model. And the rich youngster can receive more training, while the poor youngster, even if the same skill, may choose to become simple workers. And end up difference in initial endowment can generate a big difference in outcomes. And elaborate model, we are going to have a bequest motive and that sort of things. But right now, endowment is just exogenous, and we get this. And lastly, we get is suppose you reduce the initial endowment, what is going to happen, or the initial temporary tightening of the financing constraint or limited commitment, what you get is intangible investment is going to drop. But because of they are going to become future managers and they are going to train them, and the impact is going to be very persistent in aggregate output. And also, since it's become more sensitive to initial endowment across the agents, the inequality also go up persistently. So that's the kind of stories we try to lay out. And in terms of the literature, the one we borrow a lot is the Boyd-Prescott style dynamic coalition model. But also, Charlie Hoppenheim has a famous paper on vintage stuff. And actually, the Young Kim, who did introducing the financing constraint in Charlie Hoppenheim style model, and he generated a big difference in TFP across the countries from the difference in financial systems. And then there is a huge literature on human capital accumulation with financial frictions and inequality, like Garo, Zeiler, Banerjee, Newman, and a lot of other people have literature on this. And also lastly, we probably forget a lot of people, but one aspect is the misallocation of capital with the financial frictions. Here, the misallocation is about the wrong people get trained and the right people, talented people, but not enough resource, choose to become simple workers. So in this sense, this is the misallocation of intangible capital or human capital.
No, but when I
Yeah.
think about the stagnation in Japan, should I also think of that coming from a drop of endowment?
Drop of endowment or drop of the financing constraint. So tightening of the financing constraint, or actually more broadly, the old days Japanese workers stay in the same company for lifetime. And during the crisis, this disappears because of the company starts firing people. At the same time, people start moving. And so the mobility go up a lot. And also the commitment to stay in the same company did drop a lot too. So this is the difference. And all days, actually the 80s and 90s, there is a lot of Japanese company sending the employee to the overseas, not just the graduate program, but also business school. And they paid, actually, the most of the business school students came from Japanese company is fully paid, including the stipend. And that sort of things all disappears once the mobility gets higher. Okay. And so let's write it down, the model. It's the overlapping generations model. The baseline is the 2-period lifetime. And the population is constant. We can change, actually, the population growth rate. But the unit measure of agent bonds every 2 periods. And initially, the youngest is endowed with the different endowment. You could be a bequest. And learning ability, kappa. So kappa is the learning ability, and E is the endowment. And the basic model, there is no idiosyncratic shocks. And so we don't talk about the precautionary saving, but it could be introduced, and then limited commitment with that has interesting implications. And also, we are not allowing the heterogeneity as a simple worker. As a worker, it's all look like. But as a future manager, the learning ability is different. So the comparative advantage of learning and absolute advantage is the same in here. And everybody can either work as a worker or to working as a managers. And so that's the occupational choice people have. And the utility function we use is a simple, the log utility. Beta is the discount factor. Okay. And what is the managerial skill means? When manager has a skill K, which is going to be endogenous, is hiring the L number of workers, you get the output Y. This is like a definition of intangible capital for production purpose. And but the heart of the paper is about the training technologies. And so basically what happened is if the manager who have a skill K is going to train the M number of workers to become future manager to acquire K prime. This is the aggregate intangible capital they produce. And where the input come from, partly its input is goods, resources. And partly input is your own skill. So talented manager can train the workers better, like Charlie. But even Charlie has a lot of the students. You cannot train that easily. So there is an extensive merging cost. But the students themselves bring in their own innate skills. So kappa is the innate skill, learning ability of the students. And one of the important elements of the training is the trainee itself is a part of input. So the trainee is bringing in their own talent more, as well as their number. You can train them more. So this is constant return to scale. In a more general case, you can add actually the society's level skills, like externality. But the baseline model, we decided to go for everything is private. So the training of the trainee's innate skill is a part of the important input, and the teacher's skill, as well as the goods. And that's the 3 input you need to get the training. And if you invert this into get the cost function, how much resource you needed, it's going to be an increasing function of number of trainees, and as well as intensive merging, how much you want to train for each of them. So the K prime is going up, it's more costly. And also the NM, number of trainee, go up. It's more costly, but less, because of the part of the input is trainee itself. So the extensive margin is less than the intensive margin in terms of the marginal cost increasing. At the same time, more talented the teacher can train more efficiently. You don't need too much resource cost. And also, if trainee is more talented, it's cost less. So this is the heart of the model, actually. Basically, we use the production function of training as a goods input, teacher's skill, as well as trainees' input, innate input, as a 3 input.
What if you have an M on both sides? Why not think of,
Yeah.
why not think of
Yeah.
the skill K prime as
Be different. Or,
what you
Yeah.
produce?
Yeah.
And
So
everything is on the right hand side. Should be.
this is the outcome. So youngest who start with the innate skill kappa is going to acquire the skill level K prime by putting the teacher's input as well as goods input. And is that what's your questions? I didn't get it. So
Why do you think of this equation
yeah.
as having NM on the right hand side and NM on the left hand side? You could just
Yeah. If you divide everything by, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So if you do it by everything by capita, per capita, then this is the resource cost per capita, and the teacher's one you divide by NM. Because of the teacher's attention per student is going to be diluted if you have many students. So the NM is going to be disappear here and here divided by NM, and this is the per student attention. Yes, we can use that way. And in fact, we use that one too. So the reason is the more generic education literature like Rothschild and White, they actually have a multiple type of the students and the multiple attainment of the outcomes. But in this constant return to scale, you can target the different group in different way. And so actually this is not with loss of generality. Yeah?
What is B?
B is just a parameter. So cost functions, how expensive it is. Yeah. And if you don't get trained, Young is going to lose the ability to become manager. So kappa disappears. This is like the Noam Chomsky talk about the language ability. Like Chomsky typically talk about innate ability is a big one for the language acquisitions, and ex-post experience is needed, but it's too fast to learn the language. But if you don't have a language experience when you are young, you lose the entire language ability. So that's the kind of Chomsky-ish. Yeah.
I love it.
What?
You're the best.
Why?
That's wonderful.
So, yeah, Chomsky often said that.
This is wonderful.
Yeah.
There's something I may have missed.
Yeah.
You can train only when you're an old agent.
Yeah. So you need the input. So input is there. Like unless you have the intangible capital, you cannot produce to hire worker, as well as you cannot train the youngster neither. We have to something to offer to the youngster. So.
How come in the presence of this shock that the kids, the young guys want to be trained, but because of limited force they can't? How come there is no Since there is a missing market, then
Here, you are
that
going
will solve
to,
the problem, no?
yeah, I will go to the full commitment, but they are going to choose whether to become the manager or stay in the,
No, I understand, but I'm saying it seems that given where we're heading,
yeah.
there
So-
will be a market for a business school that will train this
Yeah,
guy,
yeah, yeah.
and that
So-
might resolve the problem.
Not quite. Yeah, I will come back. So the equilibrium is basically the measure of the managers as well as aggregate capital stock or intangible capital, which turns out to be the two state variable you have to keep track. so despite of heterogeneity, because of its two period OLG, actually these are good enough to carry the state variable. And actually, individual who is a particular set of endowment and skill is going to be trained. And the training level is going to depend upon their endowment as well as talent, and as well as aggregate conditions to get the next period intangible. And the next period manager is basically the people who are trained. And the next period aggregate intangible is the outcome of this period training. So these are the dynamic equation to go through the dynamics of. Yeah.
What's a firm here?
Farm is intangible. So the farm is the manager who is.
Will die tomorrow.
Yeah.
He's
So
training me now, but he
yeah,
will not
but-
be there.
yeah,
How can I
so-
commit with him?
yeah. But the manager who trained the youngster is going to train their youngster. So this is like our job. We train the youngsters, and youngster become teacher, and they keep going. So.
And I sell the firm to the.
Yeah. It's once you die, your K disappears. Yes. So in this sense, the two period OLG, the skill you train the youngster is the definition of farm.
But if I buy the firm, there is commitment by the
Yeah. We don't have that one. So you don't have a slavery market for. Yeah.
But who owns the firm? Who is the owner of the firm?
So manager himself.
Right, but the guy
Yeah.
will die tomorrow. Then
Yeah,
he will
yeah.
not be there.
Yeah,
And I
so-
will be there, but I will be manager, have to be the owner. I have to
Yeah.
buy the
So the new youngster who become manager is the farm. So it starts from scratch. But the skill is transferred to the youngster through the training functions. So that way things continues.
I don't see the commitment issue.
Yeah, I will come back to the commitment. Yes. Yeah?
Where do the managers or the trainers get
Huh?
from training? What do they get from training the gestures?
So they get trained and then,
It seems to be like a byproduct of this.
yeah, this is,
And then
you can produce.
train people.
Yeah. So you
You're
are,
getting way ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
He's going to answer all these questions.
Yeah. So please wait for a while, and don't forget your questions. and that one. Okay. So so let's warming up exercise with full commitment. So the market economy with free commitment, manager is going to offer the two type of menus. One is a simple labor contract. If you work for me, I will pay you wage. That's the simple contract. The other contract is a career package. So if you work for me, and actually I will pay you wage, WM, when you are young. But I will pay you partly by the training. This is, I personally call it the Heckman model. Do you know the Heckman used to use the graduate students as a slave. And so when, you are prepared to work at midnight. So Heckman shout at you, and where is my result? And but the reason graduate students are willing to work with Heckman is actually they give you some training to become future Heckman, actually. So this is the
dreadful world.
So the cycle of abuse continues.
Intergenerational abuse.
yeah, but so you don't get paid much when you are young, but you paid by training. So that's each manager is going to choose how many labor to hire, but of this labor, some fraction is simple labor. You just pay wage. But NM is the future managers. So they pay you only WM. And, but then in order to pay the training, you have to, it's an investment cost. We derived this one. So in order to train this number of youngsters to this level, it costs this investment function. So that's the training cost functions. And the subject to the participation constraint. The participation constraint is the youngster who have a endowment and skill is at least as good deal as outside option. Outside option could depend upon the simple workers, just W. So that's the competitive equivalent. And so what happened is when you are the future managers, you are contributing to the productions as a worker, but at the same time, it costs manager more. So in this solution, actually the marginal cost of the training in extensive margin is the one which is subtracted from today's miserable wage. And this is actually the extensive margin marginal cost. Remember, if you look at the marginal cost functions, the extensive margin, the coefficient is 1 plus the eta, this part, times the xi. So the human capital composite share. So this is the extra, the marginal management cost to manage training cost to accept extra trainees. And the profit for the manager turns out to be the output minus wage, but actually by accepting trainees, you actually save the money because you don't pay much to the trainee. And despite of you subtract the cost of training, total training cost, actually you are going to get the revenue from training because of this is a contribution of the teachers to the training. And this is like a share of the input of yourself as a teacher to training activities. And that's you are going to get. So profit consists with simple production contribution plus the contribution to the training. So you get the big return from the intangible capital. And there are two types of interpretation of this WM or payment. One is basically the future youngster get very miserable wage now, but the future you get the pretty big returns by getting trained. And you can use the outside financial market to smooth the consumption easily. This is like Boyd Prescott and Charles Hoppenheim used that way. The alternative interpretation is actually the coalition is paying the consumption over the endowment when you are young. But at the same time, when you get old, you are not fully get paid by the profit. Actually, the amount you borrowed, so this is marginal cost, marginal contribution minus marginal cost. This is like a marginal contribution to the society for the new youngsters. Trainees. And so the gap is borrowed money. So then you have to repay the debt. So this interpretation, actually earning profile is the consumption itself. So so this is more smooth earning profile. And so that's actually our favorite interpretation. Basically
Under both interpretations,
it's the same.
the consumption profile is
It's the
exactly
same. If you don't have any frictions,
So it's just looked at consumption.
it's the same. But in data, earning is not necessarily the marginal contribution, and there is a gap, and the internal coalition can smooth across the time, and with full commitment, equilibrium is basically there is a cutoff the learning abilities, which doesn't depend upon endowment. And above that, they become the managers. And turns out to be, it's proportional to your learning ability. So when your learning ability is high, you get a lot of attention from the teachers. And then you end up getting the proportional amount of skills. Because you can mobilize the goods and teachers' attentions. And then this is the attention by for the teachers. So the manager who hire an M number of youngsters, this is the attention per head. And the attention per head is increasing with the innate ability, and the teacher said the good student, they spend more time to produce the big, nice PhD. So that's how it works. Okay, this is the benchmark, and this is you can decentralize everything by market and things. So nothing wrong, and it's constraint efficient in this sense. Okay, but suppose the main case as the commitment is limited. One limited commitment is the manager can switch to the new companies, and or you can run away with some fraction of intangible left behind. This is, you can say, intangible capital is a coalition specific, so the firm specific. So in this sense, there is a firm here. Because of if you breach the contract and spin out and then do the new company, you lose the theta fraction of the skills. So therefore, the future manager cannot borrow again, can borrow only up to theta fraction of the intangibles return. And in external financial conditions or internal financial conditions, so this is to give you the upper bound of consumption smoothing and earning smoothing too. So when the theta and the initial endowment is relatively small, actually the commitment condition is going to be binding. So what you get in the E and the endowment kappa E and the learning ability kappa type, the future manager is going to get is this is your endowment plus the miserable wage you get as a future trainee, and also you are getting the K prime amount of the intangible, and you can borrow up to the theta fraction of future return X prime. X is per intangible unit of the profit. And against that, you can borrow up to Q. Q is the 1 over interest rate of the future profit per unit of the intangible. So this is the individuals, the future managers' indirect utility function. And you can see that now E matters. Because of when you have a bigger endowment from personal wealth, you can smooth the consumption better. And as a result, you can actually become the better managers as well as higher earning profile. So what you see is the young worker with high learning ability and low, large endowment is going to be get trained. So, and the cutoff will depend upon, if you are more talented, even if the endowment is low, you get trained. And also, this is the extensive merging occupational choice. Like this is what Charlie suggested. I will have a similar picture later, but there are some in different points, like this one. So the E and kappa, and the kappa is high. Then even endowment is low, you still become. This is you become managers. And this is become simple workers. And but on top of that, there is the intensive merging. Actually, if you are rich as well as you are more talented, you get the better training, and you get the more attention from the manager and the teachers. So you are getting more attention, and you get you not only choose to become managers, you actually get the better training. And so that's the competitive equilibrium. And the numerical example, I might have told you before, but when I went to Minnesota, I asked Prescott, should I do calibration? And he said, no. You do what you are good at it. And this time, of course, I have a course who is much better than me. So we basically, this one, Shenxin did all this work. What we did is, this is not meant to be a calibration. It's just meant to be the numerical example to show how model looks like. And so what we did is, endowment, 1 minus omega fraction of people don't have any endowment. But omega fraction of people is going to have a endowment which is uniformly distributed between 0 and E upper bar. And the skill level, we just have a 3 level, 1. And the share of intangible in production is 30%, so labor share is 70%. And the relative skill composite, actually the phi determines how important is this part, like a manager skill as well as innate skill of students as an input. So we use the 2 means actually the skill part is more important than goods part, resource. So most of the time we spend students is time or skill, not the goods. So that's the our calibrations. And the weight of the manager skill relative to innate skill, we don't have any idea, so half and half. And this is OLG and discount factor 75%. And the borrowing constraint, we decided to only you can borrow up to the 10% of the future income. Basically, the intangible is not the good collateral. So you only can borrow up to the 10%. And fraction, 80% of the people have a positive endowment, 20 doesn't have any endowment. And so that's the kind of the numbers. And what you see is this is the intensive merging as well as extensive merging. So looking at the different learning ability, low learning ability people don't get any training. And so these guys don't get any attention from the teachers. And high learning ability people, even if endowment is low, you are going to get trained. But if you are less than 0.4 endowment, you don't get any training, despite of you are more talented than many other people. And at the same time, if you are getting richer, you get more attention, and you are going to get the better training. This outcome is much different from this one because of the talent itself is an input for the training. And but the and the society-wise, limited commitment, only talented people get trained. Because of the capital, the intangible share is 30%, and one-third is a talented, middle, and zero. So actually, the society don't need too many managers. And but one thing you see is even if you are not so middle talented, if you are rich enough, you get trained. And you are going to get some training and to become some managers. So this is a misallocation of the resources in the sense coming from the limited commitment. I wouldn't say misallocation, but the constraint, what we see is constraint. We didn't do too much efficiency here, but there is some misallocation, you can see it. And this is the WM. So when you are young, how much you get paid is a decreasing function. So it's like an investment. You put up with low wage, but you are paid by the high training. So get paid by the training. And you are the more talented, you have a more upward earning profile. This is the present value of the income, and so including the initial endowment. So the low-skilled people, the difference is only coming from the initial endowment differences. And so it starts with 20 percentile because of 20 percentile doesn't have any endowment. So there is a big chunk here. And then what happened is the low skilled, you just have a differences only coming from the initial endowment. But the high learning ability people, as soon as you get some endowment, the 40%, you get the training. And because of the training, you are distinctively higher permanent income. And after that, your intensive margin gets better. So actually, the permanent income is growing due to the more intensive training here. And if you are middle learning ability, until you get the high endowment, you never become managers. So this is the lifetime earning inequality, partly coming from initial endowment difference, but partly coming from extensive margin as well as intensive margin. And when you look at the earning profile of the youngsters, actually you get less paid when you get trained. So when you jump into become managers, actually you are suffering from low wage. There is something uneasy about, we are not completely happy because of this says some of the job look like get paid from beginning actually, not just earning profile is more upward sloping, already started higher starting salaries. This one, in our simple model, actually the better job and the better training is associated with low wage today, but you have a much bigger earning in future. So this is the much bigger earning.
It's because you have these things as being independent.
Independent. Yeah. So we can do like learning abilities and production abilities positively correlated or endowment. Yeah, endowment. Yeah. So if you
with that transformation, this is probably going to be consistent.
Yeah. So and also if you have some genes, which is correlated across the generation, as well as endowment is the parents leave something. Actually, yes, you can get positive correlations. Right now, it's independent. But you see the inequality in old timers. The earning is much bigger. So comparing to top end is like a 200% higher than the bottom, while youngster sacrifice is 30% less or something like that. So the old-timers inequality is much bigger in the outcome. Partly you are sacrificing when you are young, but actually on top of that, there is a kind of intensive merging. You get better training and you are getting much bigger profit from there. So that's the, and we did the little impulse response. This is the, suppose omega drops. Fraction of people who have a positive endowment used to be 80%, drop about 10%. What is going to happen if you don't have a limited commitment? This is the total intangible capital. It drops, but it does come back. This is like a world become poorer. There is a consumption smoothing and that sort of things going on. So there is a declining investment. But when you look at compare with the limited commitment, initial level itself is different, but also proportional drop is more severer. And so the aggregate stagnation is deeper and more persistent too. And I don't know how to think about the period because is it generations or what? So but in any way, this persistent. And the other things which we find rather curious is actually the managers, number of managers among the talented people actually drops. The reason is this is like an endowment. We basically make it to be like a fraction of people who have positive endowment drops. And therefore, the endowment is rather important for the extensive merging. And therefore, what happens is the youngsters who is talented but not much endowment drop out to become simple workers. And on the other hand, the middle talented guys who is richer is actually become managers. So there is some misallocation of talent and teaching going on, which is contributing to the low case outcomes. And intensive merging, actually the extensive merging is like that, but you have some little spike. But after that, intensive merging also going down because of the people who get trained get less intensive training. So this is something you see in the persistence. Misallocation is expanded, and aggregate outcome is more deeper and in terms of what time? Yeah.
Maybe 1 minute?
1 minute. Oh, gosh. Sorry. We extended these things into 3 periods. The reason we did is that we want to get the hump shape. And so what we did is basically you get trained when you are young, and you get manager. But after middle age, your human capital depreciate a little bit. So don't say that. But so there are two. So the limited commitment has a two part. One is the youngster cannot borrow because of the middle age can switch the coalition, losing the theta fraction. But the danger is actually for old-timer like us, is actually if I get paid more than my marginal contribution to university said I can replace you by hiring the middle aged with this.
Third-rate development guys? No.
So they cannot. My payment cannot be exceeding this much. So earning profile get closer in 2 ways. One is the youngster cannot borrow too much, and the middle, and also old-timer cannot overpay too much neither, because of it's replaceable with little cost. And so this is your picture, and the same thing. And this is the earning profile depending on endowment. So this is the talented worker. But if you have a more the endowment, this is a higher endowment. Your earning profile become more the humped. And the marginal contribution is more steep, but there are some smoothing going on due to some theta frictions. And the consumption itself is the same as the earning when you are young. But after that, you can use the outside financial market to smooth the consumption. So there is a smoothing going on through the consumption smoothing. And in some way, if theta gets smaller, this is like people cannot pre-commit to stay in the same coalition, or the coalition cannot keep hiring you. You can fire, replaced by the other one. Then the earning profile gets closer to the marginal contributions. And so then this is like increasing talent. More talented people have a more steeper things. And at the same time, now the payment is no longer lower, not too low relative to the less talented. Actually, because of this 3-period business. But anyway, so there are some propagations, and so this time we did is a theta shock. If you reduce the theta shock, and the mobility is higher or commitment gets lower, and the first best allocation, they shouldn't affect anything because of theta shouldn't affect first best allocations. It's not binding, basically. But here you get the deep recessions, and also the intensive merging. Actually, the more people who is affected, and so it has some heterogeneous reaction to the theta shock. But last 1 minute, I will give you the policy implication. The policy implication is the negative. This is a hazy policy implication, of course, but the negative shock with intangible capital and output declines persistently. Therefore, if theta shock, you can reduce somehow. If you cannot reduce it, you cannot do too many things. But if you can reduce it, you should mitigate the deep recessions, because it has a over time consequence for the youngsters training and future generations training too. And of course, if government is better in enforcing contract, the government can provide a loan to the talented youngsters. But this is like a chicken model. So if you don't have such free chickens, so that the government is not better in the enforcing contract, government can provide still to the grant instead of loans. But where the money comes from, the profit is already tax max. Theta fraction is the amount. So the only things they can do is tax the worker, which is the wrong things to do. Therefore, and then when you tax the worker and then give the subsidy for talented future managers, actually too many managers. And therefore you have to ration. So the subsidy has to be combined with rationing. And so that's the kind of the policy option we have. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Questions? No?